Hello everyone, Emily here, and I hope everyone is happy and healthy today and doing well. And I got my knitting needles out. My last video I showed that blanket that me and Donna were donating to the pet pantry that she got in one of her pet carriers when she went and got her foster kittens. And it felt so much softer than the crocheted ones, and I haven't knit it for a very long time. And so I decided I wanted to get my knitting needles out. So I'm going to show you, this is just something new maybe you could try if you've never done it before. I think knitting takes a little bit longer than crocheting. I am using these smaller knitting needles, and on the ends here it tells you the size. I have to put on my glasses here. And so the size is a size 10. It's a little wobbly, so it makes a little bit of noise. But this is a size 10. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my yarn I have here. I'm assuming it's Red Heart because that's usually what I get. And Mainstay, but I don't know if Mainstay has this color. So I think it's Red Heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my yarn and I'm going to go ahead and do me a slip knot. And when I was younger, all I did was the same stitch all the time. So this is a beginner friendly because it's basically all I know how to do right now. So what I do is I put my yarn on my needle. And of course, again, I like to always have my fingers on my yarn, and this is pretty loose. It's not real tight because you're going to have to come back and go into those with your other needle. Okay, so what I do is I just take my finger and I go wrap it halfway around, and then I bring my needle up and I put it on the needle. So I grab a hold of the yarn, take my forefinger, go halfway around, and then I take my needle and I just pick it up. And those are your stitches. And this is how I learned to put my stitches on my needle. And you can just put on as many as you want. These needles you can buy in different sizes and different lengths. And some of them have a wire that will connect this end to the other end so that you can go back and forth and like make a blanket. So just put on as many stitches as you want. You can see how long it's getting here. And gosh, I haven't knit it in so long. And sometimes it's just nice to do something a little different. So I have my stitches on here. I'm going to turn my work. I am right-handed, so I'll be putting these stitches from the left hand onto the right hand. Okay, so out a little bit so I can hold my needles better. So what I do is I just take my needle and go right in the back, go into the stitch and come out the other side, and then I grab my yarn. I'm going to wrap it around the one in the back, and then you're going to bring it through. So the trick to doing that is when you go in there and you go into that stitch and you come out the back and you wrap this, I hold this one pretty tight, and then I put my finger here, and I want this tip to rub up against my needle so that it holds on to that. So I'm going to do it again here. And see these, I tried to put them on pretty loose so that I could go in back here. Pretty easy. And take my yarn and wrap it. I'm going to pull it a little tight. And I use this finger just to push it down. And I'm going to keep it up against that needle. You can see that I kept it up against the needle. And then I'm going to pull it off. And when I do that, I usually bring this up. Gives me a little bit more looseness. Oops, looseness here. I'm going to wrap my yarn around and take it off. Go into the next one. Take my yarn around, use this finger to push it through, and take it off. And so I'm just going to continue to do that all the way down. And this is what I'm going to this is just your repeat. I have watched a few videos out there where they show you how to put it on your needle differently, which I've never tried, and maybe I will. But this is how I learned to knit. So I'm going to go and do how I know how to knit before I try to start doing something different, because I haven't knitted in a long time. So you can see, you just go in there. I'm going to go into that back. It's going to come through. I'm going to wrap it around. I'm going to hold it tight here. And I'm going to push it down with this finger. And at the same time, I'm going to hold it against this needle, the tip, so that it comes through like this. Pull it up a little bit, and then I'm going to take it right off. And now you're knitting. And I think when you do this first row, it is the hardest, because I think the first row when you're crocheting is always the hardest too. I want to make sure I only go underneath that one loop. But it's a little bit, you know, you have yarn here, you have yarn here, you don't want to pull it too tight. So that's why I think this first row is a little bit harder. See, I'm picking up a strand, a foreign strand. I want to make sure I don't do that. I did it again. Where's that strand coming from? There we go. So you're just gonna come in here. So after I learned to crochet as a child, then I learned how to knit. And knitting just seemed a little bit easier, I think, because well, I didn't do any patterns or anything. It's kind of the repeat. Knitting is very relaxing and satisfying. I do like the sound of the needles clicking. And I grew up in San Miguel in California, and there's a mission there. And Father Hillary. I went to catechism on Wednesday, went to Mass on Sunday morning and Sunday evening, and it was such an itty-bitty town. You drove through it. There was like no stoplights or anything. So it was really small, and the mission is still open, the San Miguel mission, for tours. It was an old mission, so sometimes we'd go to church, and we would be the only people there on Sundays sometimes. It was so small. And you can look it up on the internet. It's still there. Anyway, we knew the Father Hillary pretty well. He would give us tours of the mission. We'd get to go in the back where the the priests lived. It was really nice. He used to come to our house for dinner. He was just the nicest gentleman ever. And I bet I made him, I don't even know how many scarves. And you know, as a child, when I was probably 10, it would take me forever, and they would never be perfect, and he would always wear them. I didn't have a father growing up, so I would give him the things that I made, and he was such a generous person. And that's what I think about when I make my scarves. I think we all maybe have a story to tell, and I guess that's my story, and I just wanted to share it because it's something that's deep in my heart. So I made it to the end, and you can see here I did one row, and now when we go in it's going to be a lot easier. So we're just going to take this and put it from one needle to the other needle. I'm going to pull out a little bit of yarn here, and you know, it's always fun to change colors, you know, me and my colors, and I love to change colors. So now we're just going to do it again, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but now it's going to be easier, and the farther you get, the easier it seems to get. So the first stitch here, I'm just going to go into it, pull my yarn a little bit tight so it's not all loopy and big. I'm going to take my yarn and go around, and I'm going to bring it through, take it off, and I am holding all I'm holding this really close to the end, and that's how I do it. I always use these fingers to manipulate everything. So I'm going to go into my next stitch, yarn over, take it off. So now I can see, oh, I can move so much faster now. I feel like I'm crocheting or knitting the old way, the olden way, the the horse and buggy days, because there is so much new stuff out there to do. But I think this video is very beginner friendly. Thank you for listening to my story. You can see that this is now with 2 stitches. Let's turn it over. And I'm just going to keep going. And it is just softer. You know how you go to the store and you see the store-bought scarves, and they're all soft and frilly, and crocheting ones, I think, as you wash them, they do get that way, but these knitted ones are just so soft. And if you wanted to make a big blanket, but you just didn't want to have all that on your needles here, you could do squares and then sew them together. That would be a nice soft blanket. And this knitting that I'm doing is pretty close together. It's not letting any holes in. But like I said, I do think knitting takes a little bit longer. They got so many new patterns out now you can do with knitting. It's just amazing. And see, I did pick up an extra one, so I'm going to take it off, or a strand off of one of them. So I'm going to get to the end, and at least you don't have to worry about missing the last stitch. So here I am. You can see how long it's going to be. I'm going to turn it around. And I'm just going to keep going. So if you want to watch for a little bit, please do. You guys have a great day. Stay safe. This is something new to try with your yarn. And gosh, I can't even tell you how long it's since I've done knitting, but I'm feeling very relaxed. So go ahead and watch. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back soon. Bye. This is what I have after 16 rows. Isn't it pretty? It's a knitted look. I really like it. I do know how to do the purl stitch, so I'll come back and show you how to do that later. Just remember to make sure that these stitches up here are always loose so you can go back into them. And when everything's here, you're always going to bring it up. When it's on this one on your right, because I'm right-handed, you're always going to push it this way a little bit, but not too tight. And when I go in to a stitch like this, and it goes all the way through, there's nothing in there, and I wrap this around, and you're always taking it down in between the two, and I hold this like this. I always hold it really loose. I'm not even putting any tension on it. I'm just holding it, and then I push this down with this one, bring it through, and take it off. And the first one I might pull a little bit on, but you can see that it's really loose, and that really is the key. Just going to take it around. I'm not going to pull it tight and pull it off. That is the key, because if you keep pulling these tight, you're just going to have such a hard time going inside of them. And you can see how much smoother and easier this is going now that I've gotten a little ways The beginning is always the tough part. Knitting is really relaxing. I like this stitch. It's just an easy repeat. There's no counting, and you know what? You're really not going to miss the end or the last stitch. This is really relaxing. I haven't done it for so long. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching till the end. Please give me a comment, subscribe. I like to come back with different things all the time. And I'll come back and show you how to do the purl stitch. But this is for beginners. When you first start, it's really important that you learn how to hold your needles your way that makes you comfortable. Get used to letting the yarn just flow how it wants to. See, I'm taking it around and it's right there, so I'm just going to let it be. I don't have any pressure on it. Bring it around. Now I do wait till it goes between the two, and then I just let it be. I can almost hear it click. Listen. There we go. I did another row. It's working pretty fast for me now, but the beginning is pretty tough. So this is my knitted project. I'm really happy with it, and I'm just going to relax today. I think I overdid it yesterday going out and about. So have a great day. I appreciate you all, and I'll be back soon. Bye.